What is up, guys? My name is Nick, and today I'm making this video in order to show you a few concepts that can work for you when it comes to making name checks, because I've seen a lot of people struggling, not really struggling, but like trying to understand not the concept, but like how to start, like how to actually try to make aim checks and like invent their own things. Obviously, aim checks are a bit more complicated than like movement checks because you can make a movement check like simply by just looking at the Minecraft code. I mean, you can do the same for aim, but it's much harder to do it for aim. And also you cannot make a sample-sized movement check. I mean, you can, but it's gonna suck balls. So yeah, don't do that. Not a good idea. Um, so yeah. Today I'm gonna show you, I think it's three concepts or four. I don't know. Anyways, just yeah, I'm gonna show you a few concepts when it comes to aim checks. And this video is not gonna be. I'm not gonna be showing you like checks that you can like copy paste and like expect them to work. You're gonna have to figure them out on your own. I'm just going to show you like a basic start for an example check and how everything works. So yeah. Let's get started. Alright, so the first type of check that you can work on is what I like to call, well, ignore the description. This is obviously a meme, but anyways, yeah, we're gonna be using Elon Musk technology for this check. Basically, it's a sample size type of check where you make a sample list. I'm gonna show you right now. Sample list. You cannot find this list on normal Java, but you can find it in my base. It's pretty much a linked list. You can find it on my open source Anticheat base. There's gonna be a link for it in the description. Yeah, we're gonna make a sample list of 50 samples, which is not that large, but not that small. It's an alright. Anyways, let's get the rotation data of the player. Get rotation data, and let's get the delta yaw and the delta pitch of the player. So delta yaw, delta pitch. Alright, so before we do anything else in this check, we're going to ignore small rotations, because for this type of check that I'm going to show you, this is just an example. I could finish this right here, just make a sample list and make your own check, and then if samples collected, then check whatever the fuck you want to check and then flag. But I'm going to show you an example of what I mean. So for this type of check, we're going to ignore if the delta yaw is less than, I don't know, 0.5, or if the delta pitch is less than 0.5. So they need to be actively rotating on both the X and Y. Now let's get the yaw acceleration and the pitch acceleration, which is pretty much math.abs. Oh wait, I can. Anyways, I'm gonna show you. Yaw accel equals. It's basically math.abs delta yaw minus the last delta yaw, but I have a variable in my base, so we're gonna use that. Data get yaw accel, and let's do the same for pitch. Pitch accel. Okay. So since we have those two variables, we're going to we're going to make another variable called delta, which is math.abs yaw acceleration minus pitch acceleration. And then we're gonna add it to the list. Delta. If these samples are not collected, we're going to return. And basically, what's this type of check going to be? This is going to be a sample size check that checks if your accelerations on both the X and Y are identical, because you can do identical X movements, like the delta yaw. You can make them identical, but you cannot. I mean, you can, but like it's very hard to make both the X. Like let me show you. It's hard to your rotations to be identical both here and here. So you have to be moving like this and make them very identical, but it's quite hard. It's not impossible, but it's quite hard. And yeah, some Kilauras, especially older ones, tend to fail this type of check. So yeah, I mean it's not really a God Savior Elon Musk check, but you know it's good to have, I guess. Anyways, so since our samples are collected by now, we're going to get the duplicates, and I'm going to use my Better Stream library. You can also find this in my base. Okay. So yeah, all we're going to do now is check if duplicates are bigger than, you can do 30 or 35 if you want to be safe. Just fail. Yep. So yeah, that's pretty much one type of check that you can make. Not this specific check, but you know, you can just do this, and then in here you make your own type of check. You can check for duplicate rotations, you can check for rounded rotations using samples, which is, I don't know if it's a good idea, but anyways, yeah. But here's an example check. We're checking if the x and y accelerations are identical, like, yeah, that's it. That's pretty much one type of check that you can make. Alright, so the next type of check is what I like to call the, actually I have no idea how what to call it, but like it's a common check alongside many anti-cheats. Basically, what older AimAssists used to do is they used to, you know, normal AimAssists just, you know, move like, you know, like this. They move both the X and the Y. But what older AimAssists used to do back in the day was they will not move the pitch at all, and they will just, okay, I don't know if I can do this 100%, but like they will just move the X, which means the yaw, and they will go like this, and then the anti-cheat will not detect them, most likely because they didn't move the pitch. But you know, anti-cheats actually made the check for this, and it's quite simple. You just check for, you know, if they're, you know, fighting and moving like at a high speed and rotating their X at a high speed, then just not moving their pitch at all. And but these eventually got bypassed by client developers, but then got patched again by Anticheat, but like, you know, anyways. So what clients used to do at some point after that was they would move the X, but they will make a tiny rotation on the Y. So they will go like this, and then make a slight rotation like this and like this, or like a significantly small value that, like, you know, didn't get detected because it's so small. So, yeah. So we're gonna be checking for this. So what we're going to do is we're gonna make a variable called, let's do invalid pitch, and what we're going to be checking is exactly what I said before. So we're gonna check if the delta pitch is greater than 0 and the delta pitch is less than like, I don't know, let's do something very small like 0.005, but the delta yaw is greater than, you can do 10, you can do 5, you can do 2.5, you can do 1. It depends on how strict you want this type of check to be. We're just going to do 2.5. And let's make another boolean for the yaw as well. So we're going to do invalid yaw. Delta yaw greater than 0, and delta yaw is less than 0.005. But the delta pitch is greater than 2.5. And we're going to do if invalid pitch or invalid yaw. We're going to increase the buffer. Wait, let's put a buffer. Let's do 5. Wait, do I not have this type of... Oh, I don't. Okay, not in this base. So if the buffer is greater than, let's do 5, we're going to fail. Otherwise, decrease the buffer by, wait, let's do 0.25. Don't do 1 because it's going to get bypassed 100%, but 0.25 is fine for this type of check. You can make the buffer higher. This check requires 100% a buffer because this can be done legit with like low sensitivity and like high DPI and shit like that, but yeah. Is this going to work exactly as I mentioned if you just copy paste it? Absolutely not. You need to filter stuff like cinematic, or like you can do combat ticks if you want to be safe, so you have to make sure that the player is indeed in combat, or like maybe placing blocks as well, but like if you put it like this, I don't think it's going to work as you expect it. It's probably going to contain falses, but yeah. Here's an example of how this type of check can work. Basically, yeah, for this type of check, 100% buffer. Like, no point not using a buffer, it's going to false like crazy. So, yeah, that's a check. So the next type of check is what I like to call the invalid check. And this one's my favorite because, like, you don't usually need a buffer for invalid type checks, and I'm going to show you what invalid type checks are. The thing is, invalid type checks include GCD checks, but I'm not going to go any detail of how GCD works in Minecraft or how to make a GCD check because it's going to take hours to explain what. Yeah, but yeah. For GCD check, you actually need a buffer, but for the type of check that I'm going to show you right now, you do not need a buffer because if you fail this, you're fucking cheating. Anyways, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the sensitivity processor that I have in my base, and we're going to get the constant of the unit pitch. If you don't know what those are, you can find them in my base. It's pretty simple. Let's get the constant pitch. Okay. So what we are going to do now is we're going to make a double called divisor x, which is going to be the delta yaw by the constant yaw, and we're going to do the same for the pitch. Constant pitch. Okay, so you probably have many questions because you've not seen this before, maybe. Basically, there was a time back then where there was a public client that is very known that I'm not going to name, that was in beta, and I had the chance to test it, and it had a very good aim assist, but I noticed a pattern or like a mistake on its aim assist where if you did this, the divisor x and divisor y will contain errors, which means it will be either infinite or none. But the thing is, it's impossible to be infinite or none by moving legitimately. Like, you have to be doing something very wrong with the client for it to do that. And the thing is, many auras, actually, I think every single aura has that fixed, because this is not really a known check. I just figured this out, but yeah, I'm telling you, it can flag very, very broken clients. I've seen, I think Sigma had an issue with this back then, because I think I tested it a long time ago with a certain Sigma rounding type, and it flagged this. But you know, it's not common for clients to fail this, but it's a check that is safe to just put it in your base and leave it. But yeah, anyway, so what we're going to do is make a boolean for the x and y. So we're going to do invalid x equals delta yaw is greater than 0, of course, because if it's 0, it's obviously going to flag infinitely. And it's not finite, divisor x. The divisor x is not finite, which means it's either infinite or none. And we're going to do the same for the pitch. Delta pitch is greater than 0, and again, it's not finite. Divisor y. What am I doing? I'm fucking retarded. Anyways, so So yeah, if they fail this type of check, you can just, or invalid y, just flag infinitely. And there's another way to make the check. You can actually mess with the constant a bit more. You can do, wait, how do I do this again? You can do like double current yo, I guess, delta yo, constant yo. I forgot what this symbol means in English. Division? Okay, I know what it means in Greek, but like, oh my god, the military has done me bad. Anyways, this symbol by the constant yo, and we're gonna do the same for the pitch. Delta pitch, constant pitch. Okay. And now we are going to round this value, so we're gonna do floor yo equals math.round. Actually, you can cast this to an int. It's probably fine. It has the same result anyway. Floor pitch, current pitch. Okay. Now let's get the modulo x again. Current yo minus floor yo. And we're going to do the same for the y value. Current pitch, floor pitch. Okay. And basically, like we did before, delta yo is greater than 0, and again, is not finite, which means it's either none or infinite, which is absolutely impossible. You do not need a buffer for this type of check. Specifically for this, you might you can do this and like mess around with a constant by the delta yo and stuff on your own and see if it needs a buffer. But for this type of check that I'm showing you, it does not need a buffer. So you can do like just flag, or you know what? For int I equals 0, I is less than integer max value I++. Just keep failing them until they get banned from the server, because if they fail this, they're fucking cheating, okay? Anyways, but yeah, this is not a common check. If you add this, you're probably not gonna see much results, but it can act like a safeguard for broken clients. You don't really need this, but you know, it's a good check to have. Just put it there and leave it. So yeah, that is the invalid type of check that you can make. So the next type of check that you can do, and the final one, is what I like to call the analysis type check. You're gonna call it that. Basically, you probably have no idea what you're seeing right now, but I have this class in my base called rotation heuristics, and it's a very useful tool that I made. It has proven quite useful. It has a comment for everything, so it explains how it works. You can find this in my base, and you're free to use it. It also has a custom usage here that you can, or like an example usage, but I'm going to show you an example usage myself. Basically, you don't have to use this. You can make your own thingy and just, you know, anyways. But for the sake of making my life easier and this tutorial shorter, I'm going to use this one that's publicly available that you can find. Basically, we make a variable of that. We add the maximum size of the this is basically a sample size. We're going to use 100 since this is an analysis check. You can do like 200 if you want it to be, you know, longer, but yeah. The low threshold and the high threshold, I'm going to explain what it does, and basically we need two of them for the yaw and the pitch. And this is how it works. So first we get the rotation data. We use the process method for the delta yaw and the delta pitch. Then we make a result variable. If it's null, it means it's not completed yet, so we're just going to return if it's null. But if it's not null, it's going to return a result. And then you can make a variable like this called delta yaw average, and you can do delta yaw result dot get average, and it's going to get the average delta yaw from this that we did from the 100 samples. Get min and get max is going to be the minimum delta yaw and the maximum delta yaw. Get low count and get high count is basically, as you can see here, we have this variable called low threshold and high threshold. The low count is how many times the delta yaw has gone lower than 1.25, and the high count is how many times the delta yaw has gone higher than 7.5. The duplicates just gets the duplicates, you know, every duplicate rotation. You get the duplicates and then the rounded, which means how many times the rotation values have been rounded. Yeah, so we do the same for this, and then as we have the result of 100 rotations, you can make your own check down here. You can do like, I'm just going to show you an example. If, for example, delta yaw duplicates, the duplicates are greater than 75, and the average or the delta yaw is greater than, I don't know, 15, then you can make a check like this. You know, I'm just giving you an example. Don't do this. You're probably gonna have to check the acceleration as well, the acceleration average value. And yeah, this is yeah, that's it. That's quite I think that's a more efficient way to try to make a check for this, because it's a big sample list and you have the low threshold and the high threshold, so you can modify it to your liking. So yeah, that's the analysis type check. I think that's pretty much it. I don't think I have anything else to show you. Some of you probably didn't find this video useful because I didn't really show a check, like an example check that you can copy paste. But well, I think showing the concept of how a check can look like, I think it's more useful that way, because you can make your own checks and actually see how they work. And yeah, so anyways, if you find this video helpful, this guy's following me, what the fuck, he wants to do dirty things to me. Wait, do I have fly? There we go. Shit, I'm stuck, wait. So anyway, this video is not sponsored by Luisa. I'm just lazy to open up my test server. If you found this video helpful, feel free to share to your friends that have absolutely no idea what Minecraft is or what Anticheat is, so they can be like, what the fuck did you just send me? You can show this to your grandma, so she can be like, you need to get a job. Anyways, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know if you want to see more let me know if you like to see more videos like this one, with my retarded ass dying around. And yeah, goodbye.